Hi guys, welcome to Citizen Mentors. My name is Ketan, and I'm glad to actually share this article with you. I was reading this article this morning, and I found it amazingly interesting. Now let me give you a little bit idea. So this article is about the top-notch B schools and the COVID-19 actually. Now if you look at the article name, it says that B schools turn a page with COVID-19. Even I was a little bit surprised, when I actually came across the headline. Then I kind of had a deep dive into it, and I really loved it. So I'll tell you the kind of a little bit of the ground of this. So what's happening now is the B schools, basically the top-notch B schools in the country, and I'm very sure eventually all the B schools. What these guys are doing predominantly, I'm Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, XLRI, MDI, Gurgaon, and all so on and so forth. These guys, these B schools are now revisiting their curriculum. They are visiting their syllabus, and they're trying to change their syllabus. Now they're trying to change syllabus so that the business students or students in the B school can also get to know the impact on economy as far as this pandemic or epidemic or natural calamities are concerned. You're getting my point. Now, see, when you talk about COVID-19, right, this is a pandemic because it's a worldwide, and that's the reason we call it as a pandemic. But if you think about this, right, this is not the first time that the world is facing something like that. We have this pandemic which is coming out of a disease, right? We can say that there are financial pandemics, right? I mean, there is no term as such. I'm just kind of giving you an idea. Financial crisis is what? It's sort of a pandemic only, right? Because if you talk about the actual pandemic, there is an economic loss, and even in the financial crisis, there is an economic loss. You're getting my point, right? I mean, again, you talk about the human capital, again, you can take that into consideration. When you talk about the sustainability of the business, again, you can, think about it. It can be any sort of a crisis. It can be a tsunami that occurred in 2004, or it can be, 2008, 2009 subprime crisis in USA, or, you can talk about, 2020, or you can talk about 1929, the Great Depression, or you can talk about the Spanish flu, which came in 1918, right? All the time, whenever you have seen this kind of, disastrous thing happening, financial crisis or natural calamities whatsoever, the world has changed, and it has changed drastically. So I think it's a great move by the IIMs, and XLRI and MDI, Gurgaon sort of colleges, wherein they are actually incorporating all these changes. So IIM Ahmedabad is saying that, I'm going to read this line for you quickly. So at IIMA, starting this summer, the macroeconomics course will include examples like the Supreme Court's capping of COVID-19 testing, to discuss price controls and infection transmission, to include the idea of externalities. Now, let me give you a little bit conceptual knowledge out here. Now, what do you mean by externalities? Externalities का मतलब ये होता है, in a very simple language. Let's just say you are a public body, or let's say you are a government, or let's say you are a manufacturer, or let's say XYZ sort of a product, or you can be a government, or you can be a private, manufacturer, or any business that you are running, right? Now, whenever you look out your cost, we always have, variable cost, and we always have fixed cost. But again, these externalities are those sort of costs which nobody can actually see coming to you in future. And that's where it's quite important that you actually take this cost with a pinch of salt and kind of incorporate them in your business so that you're ready for the, worst, if at all that occurs in the future. See, you talk about natural calamities, you talk about these pandemics, you talk about epidemics, or even you talk about the financial crisis. Nobody can see these sort of crises. You getting my point? Now, again, it's quite important even for B school students. Now, if you look at guys, this is something I really love about top colleges, and I strongly recommend that this needs to be also followed by other B schools, because when you are sitting there in ABC, KIL, XLRI, MDI, or SPJ, or JB, IMS, you are the one who will be taking an active part in the management of a company, maybe 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, or 5 or 10 years down the line. You are somebody who will be framing those policies, and that's where it's quite important for you to understand that how these unseen things can impact your company and your company's decision. I'll give a quick example. Understand this, pharma sector have been really sluggish over the last 4 to 5 years. If you look at the stocks, they are 20-25% down. I mean, people let's talk about country like India. Pharma's sector is not booming that well. But now if you talk about pharma is booming now. And everybody is now saying that, okay, government is going to come up with new policies, and there will be new rules and blah blah blah, so that pharma sector will grow the ladder up, something like that. I mean, this is something investors should kind of take into consideration. Now, from here, if you move it, right, if you're an investor, or let's just say if you're on the other side of the table, wherein you are actually valuing the stock, or if you're a financial advisor, is it really possible for you to kind of factor in these unseen pandemics or these unseen financial crises on your way? And it is always good to take those precautions and be a little bit conservative, so that you can kind of reduce the hit that you will be getting in the future because of all these pandemics or natural calamities, right? And this is what these guys are doing. Again, when I talk about XLRI, we know it's famous for HR. Now, XLRI is actually working on how, the work from home culture can actually help, Indians, or how actually it can help globally, and what sort of challenges you will be facing, and how can you actually make it even more better. Like, we know that TCS has said that, most of the, their workforce will be working from home now. And that's a great move because that saves a lot of cost. You're getting my point, right? And this is going to be really interesting now to see how these B schools will incorporate all these things in their curriculum. And trust me, at the same time, this is also going to be really interesting to learn. So, this is one thing that we can learn. And the other thing that we can also learn is that understand this, all these big B schools, how quick they are in their approach. Something that is happening in the world, and why would they do these kind of changes? Because they know their students are going to be, leaders of tomorrow. Their students will be there in the middle management, right? And that's why it's quite imperative for their students to learn all these things. And that's the reason, there is a huge respect for all the faculties. Definitely, every B school will have a great faculties, no doubt about it. But when you predominantly talk about all these big colleges, it's a great thing. Now, I remember, whatever formulas that I've learned towards my, during my CFA, journey, I know, we used to rectify them, we used to mug them up, and people do that. But my professor in IIM Ahmedabad, the way he taught us all these formulas, all those clumsy and tricky formulas, just by giving a simple example, that shows, the in-depth knowledge of the subject. So, this is a great move, and this can act as one of the motivation for you all to sort of, think of, working a little bit harder on your CAT and other exams and joining the top 10 B schools. So guys, this is something I just wanted to share. I hope it motivates you, and I hope it gives you a little bit of value addition. So guys, that's it from my side. Thank you so much.